Hello, I'm Bartling, and welcome to another episode of Dow's Weekly Digest. You know, people kind of like to brag about different things. Lately, I've heard maybe a trend starting of people liking to brag about being from a small town. And I think even that definition has changed a little bit. When I would say I come from a small town, they would say, well, tell me, what was the size of your high school class? I'd say, oh, 22. They'd say, oh, that's pretty small. And then they'd say maybe that their class was 15 or whatever it may be. And then we'd maybe compare life in the small town. For example, burn barrel. We had a burn barrel over by the garage. And that's where all of our garbage went. And one of my chores was we burn the garbage. Or the grocery store. Going to the grocery store, pay for the groceries, we'd say, I'd like a counter check. Yes, they had a group of checks from local banks, maybe in the town itself or around the town, and you could ask for one of those checkbooks, write the check, and give them the check. There was no personalized check, and of course there was no debit card at all. Small town. And even that definition, as I said, has changed. I like this one. That town is so small, they don't even have a dollar store. And that's saying something. Think about it. There are dollar stores all over. In fact, I think one day there'll be a dollar store on the moon. Now, I was fortunate, even as an Army brat, living in 21 cities across the U.S. and 3 foreign countries, that I actually got to go and spend my junior high and high school, those years, in small towns. And I mean small. One of them had a main street that wasn't even paved. It was a dirt road. That was Main Street. There were 2 roads that kind of went into town. One particular road we called $1 Million Hill. Go up $1 Million Hill. That meant go out that road. The lore was it took, indeed, $1 million to build that particular road. Another one was on the north side of town. And that particular road was called, get this, Skunk Hollow. You go up Skunk Hollow and go to so-and-so's place. Indeed, small town. That small town had 1 grocery store, 1 restaurant, 1 gas station, Hoots, 4 churches, and not a single bar. The next town I lived in, well, it felt like a metropolis comparison to that small town. Yes, it had 2 grocery stores, 4 restaurants. It had 3 gas stations, 5 churches, a couple of bars, a jail, a funeral home, 2 hardware stores, a bank, and get this, even a newspaper. And that newspaper was so personal that they would call you once a week on the party line. Now, everybody had a party line. We were 3 rings and a short. It really didn't matter how many rings it is. Everybody picked it up when the phone began to ring. But they would call you once a week and say, any news? Did anyone come to visit? Did your pie win at the fair? You know, that would be front page material. It was kind of like Mayberry. Everybody knows everybody. Now, that could be a blessing or a curse. If you skipped church on Sunday, 3 neighbors would ask you if you were sick before lunch. And if you made a mistake, it was on the grapevine before you got home. believe me. I was working north of that small town, a bigger town in South Sioux City, Nebraska. I'd have to take Highway 77 up to go to work and come back. My adoptive father's name, Sergeant Major Bartling, his full name is Edward Henry Bartling. My name is Edward Dow Bartling. So as I was going to work one day, my foot maybe got a little heavy and I got picked up for speeding. Yes, I did. So when I got picked up for speeding, they give you the ticket to tell you can, of course, mail this in. Man, I did that the very same day. Well, in this small town, there is a pool hall. Sergeant Major Bartling would make it a kind of daily event that he would play euchre back there. Well, one particular day, he's playing euchre, and maybe to kind of get him off edge a little bit, one of the players says to him, "Oh, I see you got a lead foot." He says, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, I see that you got picked up for speeding." He said, "Oh, yeah? Yeah, you got picked up for speeding on Highway 77. Really? Interesting." You see, part of the news in that newspaper was they would post the motor vehicle violations in the area, and they would post then the names of the person. So there was Edward Bartling speeding 70 miles an hour on Highway 77. Still, looking back, there are two qualities from those small towns that we could use, I believe, today. That first one is connection. People really knew each other. Not just your name, but your family, your dog, the car that you drove, the way that your pickup sounded. There was accountability in that, and a sense of belonging. Now, that's hard to find when your neighbor won't even wave at you. Second, simplicity. You didn't have 50 restaurants to choose from. You had one, and you ate there. You didn't need a smartphone app to find the cheapest gas. You only had one station, and it charged what it charged. Life was simpler, and sometimes simpler is better. And you know, that reminds me of that John Cougar Mellencamp song called Small Town. One of the lines goes like this: "I was born in a small town, and I can breathe in a small town." He wasn't kidding. In towns like the ones I lived in, you really could breathe easier. Not because necessarily the air was so much cleaner, but because life itself felt lighter. And here's what gets me now. Why is it we know what our online friends had for breakfast, but we don't even know the names of the people 2 doors down? Ever notice when we're connected to those thousands of people on social media? But again, sometimes we don't even feel connected to the person standing right next to us. So when I think back, yes, I smile about those dirt roads, Main Street, party line calls, and the fact that the town was so small, it didn't even have a dollar store. Maybe those two qualities, connection and simplicity, are worth more than a whole chain of dollar stores. And I do think those two qualities, connection and simplicity, is one of the many attributes on why I can say this. There are two types of financial professionals: those that do business through financial markets and those that wish they could do business through financial markets. We get down to the basics of connection. What is the risk mitigation that you're looking at? How can we help you with that? Whether that be the risk mitigation of living too long, disability, or premature death. Those two attributes we hope is there at every time that financial professional contacts us. And do remember this: blessed are they who ease the pain of misfortune, for they shall be called insurance agents. You take care.